What if the person causing you the most stress actually enjoys it? What if their kindness is just a mask, and behind it lies control, manipulation, and something much darker? In today's video, we're going to explore 7 subtle but powerful signs that you're dealing with someone who doesn't just make mistakes, but may actually thrive on harming others. More importantly, we'll uncover how Stoic wisdom can help you stay calm, clear, and unshakable, even in the presence of someone who tries to disturb your peace. Before we dive in, if you find value in Stoic wisdom and want more content that helps you grow stronger, calmer, and wiser, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue sharing these timeless lessons that still speak powerfully today. Let's begin. Sign 1. Let's begin with the first and perhaps most unsettling sign. You're dealing with someone who seems to take pleasure in your pain. Now, this might sound harsh, but it's more common than we think. These individuals often hide behind charm or humor, but pay close attention, because the pattern is revealing. They don't just witness your struggles, they enjoy them. When you make a mistake, they're the first to point it out, not to help, but to humiliate. When you're going through something difficult, they don't show compassion, they show amusement. They might even smile when you fail, or say something sarcastic when you're obviously hurting. These reactions aren't accidents. They reveal a deeper truth. This person doesn't want you to grow, they want to feel superior. Your pain becomes their fuel. It boosts their ego, because deep down, they're threatened by your potential. In Stoic philosophy, Epictetus reminds us, it is the nature of the wise to resist pleasures, but the foolish to be a slave to them. What he means is this: a wise person doesn't chase pleasure, especially when it comes at someone else's expense. But those who are unwise, who lack inner strength, often crave this type of toxic pleasure. And it shows in how they treat others. Marcus Aurelius also gives us this powerful advice: the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. So what does that mean for us? When you face someone who finds satisfaction in your pain, the Stoic response is not to fight back with anger. It's not to trade insult for insult. Because if you do, you become just like them, reactive, emotional, and disturbed. Instead, take a different path. Here's how. First, keep your inner world calm. Don't let their actions control your emotions. Observe them like you would a storm, powerful, maybe even loud, but not something that has to enter your mind. Second, take time to reflect. Journaling can help. Write down what happened, how it made you feel, and how you chose to respond. This helps you see the situation clearly and stay true to your values. Third, limit your exposure. You're not required to stay close to people who feed off negativity. If possible, create distance. Don't give them the attention or reaction they seek, it only fuels their behavior. Let's bring it to life with an example. Imagine you're at work. You give a presentation you've worked hard on. But afterward, a colleague loudly jokes about it in front of the whole team, mocking your voice, your slides, or maybe a small mistake you made. Everyone laughs. You feel embarrassed. And for a moment, you want to lash out. But here's where Stoicism steps in. Instead of reacting with anger or trying to get even, you pause. You take a breath. And you remind yourself, their behavior is a reflection of them, not of you. You respond with calm, maybe even a soft smile or no reaction at all. This shows strength. Your stillness becomes your shield. They wanted to knock you off balance, but you stood firm. That's real power. And that's the Stoic way. Now that we've covered this first and deeply revealing sign, let's move on to the second, one that quietly erodes your confidence over time and is harder to spot at first. Sign 2. The second sign that you may be dealing with a harmful person is this. They manipulate you using guilt, and make you question your own reality. This behavior often hides behind a mask. On the surface, they may appear caring, even loving. But underneath, their actions are designed to control you, not support you. One of the most common tactics they use is called gaslighting. It happens when someone twists your words, denies things they clearly said, or makes you feel guilty for things you didn't do wrong. You might hear phrases like, "You're too sensitive. That never happened. Why are you always overreacting?" Over time, you start to doubt yourself. You second-guess your memory. You question your feelings. And eventually, you lose trust in your own perception of reality. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone does wrong, it is because they are mistaken about what is good." From the Stoic perspective, this kind of manipulative behavior isn't just harmful, it's misguided. The person doing it doesn't truly understand what virtue is. They confuse control with love, and power with value. So how do you respond? How do you stay centered when someone keeps pulling you off balance? Here's how the Stoics would approach it. First, return to reason. Your mind, your ability to think clearly, is your greatest tool. If someone's behavior makes you doubt reality, start keeping notes. Write down important conversations. Keep records of promises made or situations that felt wrong. This isn't for revenge, it's to help you stay grounded in truth. Second, remember your worth. Just because someone says you're too sensitive or too emotional doesn't make it true. Their version of events isn't the only one. You have the right to feel what you feel. And you don't need to justify that to anyone. Third, practice objective observation. Take a step back and look at the situation as if you were an outsider. Ask yourself, what actually happened? What was said? Am I responding with clarity, or am I being emotionally pulled in? Strip away the emotion, not to suppress it, but to better understand it. This gives you back your power. Let's make it real with an example. Imagine you have a friend who always makes fun of you, joking about your job, your appearance, or your dreams. Each time, when you show that you're hurt, they laugh it off and say, "You're too sensitive. I'm just joking." At first, you might ignore it. But after a while, you start to wonder, maybe I really am too sensitive, maybe I need to just toughen up. But here's the truth. The problem isn't your sensitivity. The problem is their insensitivity. They're not joking, they're testing boundaries and hiding cruelty behind humor. In moments like this, remember what Epictetus taught. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You have the power to choose your response. You don't have to argue. You don't have to explain. But you do have to protect your peace. That might mean calmly setting a boundary. Or, if they keep crossing it, it might mean walking away altogether. Because part of being stoic is having the courage to say, "This is not good for my mind, for my peace, or for my growth." And choosing to step back without guilt. Now, let's move to the third sign, one that often hides behind a charming face, yet causes long-term damage to your sense of self. Sign 3. Let's now talk about the third sign, one that's not always easy to spot, because it's wrapped in charm. You're dealing with someone who only pretends to care, when it serves their own interests. Not all harmful people are loud, rude, or openly aggressive. Some are warm, polite, even generous. But look closer, and you'll see their kindness has strings attached. They offer help, but only if they can use it to get something back. They listen to your problems, but later, they twist your words when it suits them. They give gifts, favors, or attention, but only when there's an audience watching, or when they want you to owe them something. This is performative kindness, a calculated act of care. It's not about you. It's about their image, their advantage, or their control. As Seneca wisely said, a wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. That means real virtue, true goodness, doesn't come with expectations or conditions. A Stoic doesn't give to receive. A Stoic gives because it's the right thing to do. And Marcus Aurelius reminds us. Look beneath the surface, let not the several qualities of a thing nor its worth escape thee. In other words, don't be fooled by appearances. Look deeper. Ask yourself, does this person act out of care, or out of convenience? So how should we respond when we notice this kind of behavior? First, don't let praise or gifts cloud your judgment. Sometimes, people try to win you over with compliments or generosity. That's fine, until it becomes a tool of manipulation. A Stoic remains steady. Your self-worth doesn't rise and fall based on someone's approval or attention. Second, watch their actions over time. Anyone can be kind once. But what patterns do you see? Do they show up for you when no one is watching? Do they treat others with the same kindness, when it doesn't benefit them? Stoicism teaches us to observe before we decide. Real character shows itself slowly and consistently. Third, lead by example. Give freely, without strings. Offer kindness without expecting applause. When we act this way ourselves, it becomes easier to recognize when others are faking it. Here's a real-world example. Let's say you're in a relationship. After a big argument where you were hurt, your partner suddenly showers you with gifts, flowers, an expensive dinner, maybe even an apology. But nothing changes. The same behavior that caused the pain comes back again and again. The gifts become a cycle, part of the manipulation, not the solution. Here, the Stoic approach is to ask. What's the intention? Is this a sincere effort to make things right, or just a distraction from the deeper issue? Seneca would remind us. Don't be swayed by the surface. A gift given with selfish intent is no gift at all. In these moments, stay centered. Don't feel guilty for expecting better. It's not ungrateful to want genuine care. It's wise. And wisdom, as the Stoics teach, is what protects us from being fooled by what only looks good. Now, let's move to the fourth sign, one that's more aggressive and direct. It hides behind the excuse of looking out for you, but in truth, it's all about control. Sign 4. The fourth sign of a harmful person is easy to miss at first, because it often arrives dressed as concern. They try to run your life. Not by suggestion, but by pressure, criticism, or outright commands. They say things like, "I'm only telling you this for your own good. Trust me, my way is better. If you loved me, you'd do what I say." On the surface, it sounds protective. Underneath, it's all about control. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. Epictetus reminds us that real freedom begins inside. When someone pushes you to hand over that internal freedom, your choices, your voice, your direction, what they offer isn't love. It's fear disguised as love. How control shows up. 1. Dictating your choices. They tell you what to wear, who to see, where to work, even what to eat. 2. Constant criticism. Whatever decision you make, it's never quite right, unless it matches their plan. 3. Shame and guilt. They suggest you're selfish or ungrateful if you don't follow their advice. Little by little, you begin to doubt your judgment and lean on theirs. That's exactly what they want. 1. Stoic response, 3 practical steps. Draw clear lines. Decide what parts of your life are non-negotiable, your career path, your friendships, your creative projects. Communicate those boundaries plainly. I value your opinion, but the final decision is mine. No long speeches, no heated debates. Clarity beats conflict. 2. Reclaim your autonomy. Before making a decision, pause and ask, is this truly my choice, rooted in my values, or am I afraid of displeasing someone? If fear is steering the wheel, stop, recenter on virtue, then choose. 3. use strategic silence. Controllers feed on reactions. When they push, give short, calm answers, or none at all. Silence is not weakness, it's a refusal to play their game. Real-life example. Imagine a relative who insists you take a specific job because it's safer. They lecture you, list your mistakes, and hint that you'll disappoint the family if you refuse. Instead of launching into an argument, you breathe and reply, "I understand you care about my future. I've looked at the options, and I'm choosing the path that fits my goals. I appreciate your concern." No anger, no lengthy defense, just firm, respectful clarity. That is Stoic courage in action. A person who tries to own your choices is not seeking connection, they're seeking possession. Remember, your mind, your will, and your path belong to you. When you protect that inner territory, you stay free, no matter how loudly others demand control. With that, we come to the final and perhaps most alarming sign, a complete lack of remorse. Sign 5. Let's talk about one of the clearest signs that you're dealing with someone truly harmful. They don't feel genuine remorse. These individuals might hurt you, betray your trust, or cause emotional pain, and yet, they act as if nothing happened. And if they do apologize, it often feels off. Empty. As if they're just saying what you want to hear so they can move on without really acknowledging the damage. Seneca once said, "Shame may restrain what law does not prohibit." What he meant is that even when there are no rules stopping someone, their own sense of inner morality, shame, reflection, conscience, should be enough to guide them. But with a harmful person, that inner compass is often missing. Here's what it looks like in real life. They say, "You're too sensitive," when you express your hurt. They repeat the same behavior over and over again, no matter how many times you explain how it affects you. They twist the story so you end up feeling guilty, even though they're the one who crossed the line. Their apologies, if they give any, are performances, not genuine attempts at healing. They say sorry, but their actions don't change. And that's the real test. So what does Stoicism teach us here? First, the Stoics believe that true strength comes from constant self-reflection. Socrates, who greatly influenced Stoic thinking, once said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." A person who never reflects on their behavior, who never asks themselves, "Did I act rightly? Did I harm someone?" That person isn't interested in growth. They're interested in control, in comfort, in ego. Stoic response: 3 important steps. 1. Don't chase apologies. If someone is unwilling to be accountable, don't plead for them to see the truth. As a Stoic would say, your peace should never depend on someone else's conscience. 2. Release resentment. Not for their benefit, but for your own. Carrying bitterness around only chains you to the past. Letting go doesn't mean what they did was okay, it means you refuse to let it poison your inner peace. 3. Focus on your own growth. You can't force someone to be self-aware. But you can choose to learn from the experience and grow stronger, wiser, and more grounded. Real-life example. Imagine you have a friend who keeps betraying your trust. They lie, make promises they never keep, or talk behind your back. And every time they get caught, they say things like, "I didn't mean it like that. You're overreacting." Or, "Why are you always so dramatic?" Each time, you hope things will change. But nothing ever does. Here's where Stoic wisdom steps in. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. And act in a way that protects your integrity. That might mean setting firm boundaries. That might mean walking away. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." Sometimes, the most courageous and virtuous choice you can make is to remove yourself from a relationship that only repeats harm. Sign 6. When help comes with a hidden price. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Have you ever had someone do something kind for you, help you out, support you in a tough moment, or give you a gift, and then later, that same person acts like you owe them something in return? That's not real kindness. That's manipulation wearing a mask of generosity. People like this don't give out of the goodness of their hearts. They give with a plan. At first, it feels like support, but over time, it becomes clear, they're keeping score. They'll bring up what they did for you in conversations, subtly reminding you of their sacrifice. And before long, you're not just grateful, you feel trapped. Their help turns into emotional blackmail. Maybe they say things like, "After everything I've done for you," or, "You wouldn't even be here without me." Their real goal isn't to help you grow, it's to make you feel guilty, so you'll say yes to their demands. From a Stoic point of view, this kind of behavior isn't virtuous at all. The Stoics believe that true kindness doesn't come with expectations. Seneca put it beautifully, "He who gives quickly gives doubly." In other words, when you give sincerely, you don't wait around asking for something back. You let it go. You don't use your kindness as a weapon. So how should you respond? Here's the Stoic way. First, don't treat generosity like a contract. You're allowed to receive help without becoming someone's servant. Second, be alert to false generosity. If someone constantly reminds you of what they've done for you, take a step back and ask yourself, is this really kindness, or is it a form of control? And third, set firm boundaries. You can be respectful and still say, "I appreciate what you did, but I'm not going to be pressured into something I'm uncomfortable with." Here's a practical example. Imagine you have a mentor, someone who helped you land your current job. At first, you're grateful. But over time, they start asking you for personal favors. They expect you to work late for their own benefit, run errands that have nothing to do with your role, or even support them in ways that feel uncomfortable. And when you push back, they hit you with, "After all I've done for you?" This is the moment where your Stoic strength matters most. You can thank them for what they did in the past, without allowing them to control your present. You don't owe your peace or your principles to anyone, no matter what they've done. Remember, kindness should feel freeing, not heavy. Now let's look at the seventh and final sign, something many people miss because it often happens behind closed doors. But its damage runs deep. Let's explore how some people divide others in order to maintain control. Sign 7. Why they secretly turn people against you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Imagine this, you've been getting along well with your coworkers, friends, or family. Then, slowly, things begin to shift. Someone stops replying to your messages. A manager starts acting distant. A friend pulls away without explanation. And you're left wondering, what changed? Often, behind this kind of confusion is someone who is playing a subtle but dangerous game, divide and control. They spread rumors, twist your words, and plant seeds of doubt in other people's minds. Not always directly, they may whisper just enough to raise suspicion. They may frame themselves as the victim and you as the problem. It's a quiet kind of sabotage. Why do they do this? Because if they can isolate you, make you feel alone or unsupported, they gain more control. When you lose your circle of trust, they become the center of your emotional world. That gives them power. But the Stoics believed in something stronger than manipulation, truth and inner stability. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In other words, if your mind stays clear, grounded in truth, you don't have to chase down every lie. Here's how a Stoic would respond. 1. Stay anchored in your integrity. Don't rush to defend yourself against every whisper. Let your consistent actions speak for you. 2. Avoid retaliating with gossip or anger. That only pulls you into their game. 3. When needed, calmly clear the air. If someone has been misled about you, have a direct, respectful conversation. Say, "I heard there may have been a misunderstanding. Let's talk." Let's look at a practical example. Imagine you're at work. A colleague has been quietly telling your boss that you're unreliable, maybe suggesting you're not committed, or that you've been saying negative things behind their back. You notice tension building, but you're not sure why. Instead of confronting the gossip spreader with anger, you take a Stoic approach. You request a private meeting with your manager and say something like, "I value our working relationship, and I've noticed some tension. If there are any concerns, I'd like to talk openly and find clarity." That's Stoic strength in action, clear, calm, and grounded in truth. Remember, a person trying to divide you from others wants to control your emotions. But your peace of mind, your clarity, and your integrity are yours alone to protect. Now that we've explored these 7 signs, one truth stands out: people who harm others, whether through manipulation, silence, guilt, or control, share one goal: they aim to shake your peace. But as a Stoic, peace is your fortress. It is built not on what others do, but on how you choose to respond. Conclusion. Let's take a moment to reflect. Dealing with people who cause harm, whether through manipulation, control, or a lack of empathy, is never easy. It can leave us confused, angry, or even doubting ourselves. But the ancient Stoics taught us something powerful: it's not about what others do, it's about how we choose to respond. We don't have control over someone else's behavior. We can't force them to apologize. We can't make them change. But we do have control over one very important thing: our inner world. Our thoughts. Our emotions. Our choices. When someone's actions try to pull you into chaos, you don't have to go with them. You can stand firm in your own values. You can choose peace over drama. Understanding over resentment. Wisdom over impulse. Here's what the Stoic path teaches us in moments like these. 1. Stay anchored in virtue. Always ask yourself, what is the right thing to do? Not what feels good in the moment, but what aligns with your higher self. 2. Protect your peace. Don't let someone else's negativity invade your mind. As Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. 3. Lead with reason, not emotion. Your clarity is your strength. When you respond calmly, you stay in control. And finally, let people show you who they really are, then believe them. Actions reveal character far more than words ever will. Marcus Aurelius wrote this reminder for himself at the start of each day. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. But none of them can hurt me, because I won't let them. That's the essence of Stoic strength. Not pretending that pain doesn't exist, but refusing to let it define us. Thank you for spending this time with us. If this video brought you clarity, peace, or even just a moment of reflection, we invite you to subscribe for more Stoic wisdom and calm insights each week. Until next time, stay grounded, stay wise, and let virtue be your guide.